All right, so good morning, everyone. My name is Jesse, and I am with Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. For those joining us for the first time, we are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world. We're doing a little bit of all three today. It's very exciting, and we're about to kick off our huge October month of 60 sessions. This is our wrap-up of September. It's going to be a good time. Right now, we've got 4 classes joining us from across North America, so I want to give them a chance to say hi. We've got Miss Volbretz, grade 2s in Ottawa, Ontario. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hey, I love the enthusiasm. All right. We've got Miss Carrions, grade 3-4s in Moortown, Ontario. Hi, guys.
Sit down.
Hey. You don't need to sit down. You can stand up. It's an exciting time. If you want to scream and yell, okay, but do what your teacher says. Do what your teacher says. All right. We've got Miss Gonzalez of grade 1s in Pelham, Massachusetts. Hi, guys. Hey, with the most colorful floor in the world. I love it. Okay, and then last but not least, we've got our deep voice grade 8 Miss Painters group in Salem in Virginia. Hi, guys. Oh, your mic's not muted, but you're there. You're there, and it's exciting. Okay. Hey, there we go. Mike's giving us issues. Something has to go wrong technologically, otherwise it wouldn't be fun. Of course, the reason you guys are all here today is for our speaker. So we are joined live by Heidi, back again from last year. She did many sessions with us. So she's at Boise State University's Intermountain Bird Observatory, and she's going to take us a little tour of their songbird banding work. So she's literally in the middle of the field today. So if there's some tech issues, don't worry about it too much. She'll come back in a second, but we're going to dive in with some fantastic songbirds. So thank you so much for joining us, Heidi, and take it away.
All right, I'm unmuted. So good morning, guys. So we're up here in the mountains above Boise, Idaho today, and we have some birds. So I think I might jump in and switch my camera over so that you guys can see our team of scientists as they measure and band some birds. And then maybe once we let these birds go, I can tell you guys a little bit more about what we're doing and why we're catching them. So let me see. Oh, I haven't practiced switching my camera over. How do I do this? Here we go. Here we go. So you guys can see this is our banding station. We have a whole crew of scientists this morning from all around the country, actually. And we'll walk in closer and see they're putting some banding birds. And I think Emily, should we show off your bird first, Emily?
I have a ruby-crowned kinglet.
Awesome.
So she's, I'm saying a she. I don't know if they can respond.
But they're muted, but
okay. You guys can guess among yourselves why she's a she if the name is ruby-crowned kinglet. So some of them have a ruby crown.
Yeah, so we can tell she's a girl because she doesn't have this little ruby crown. Kinglets are one of the smallest songbirds that we catch up here. They weigh about 6 grams, which is about as much as 6 M&Ms. So they're very, very small. And Emily has already put a little band on this bird's leg. Let's see, there you go. You can see her little band. So it fits kind of like a bracelet on her leg. It has a 9-digit number, so that identifies her. If we ever catch her again, we'll be able to read that number and say, oh yeah, I remember you. You're number 452. We caught you last year. So that's our hope, is that we get to see her again or that another scientist gets to see her again. So should we let her go, Emily? Mm-hmm. All right. You guys will get to watch her fly away. Okay, ready? Here she goes. Oh, that was fast. Cool. All right. Let's go see what other birds we have. So it looks like, Eric, are you done processing your bird? Nice. So Eric here has a Assen's finch. Is it a young?
An adult female.
Oh, nice.
Has a molting feather right there.
Nice. Cool. So you guys, yeah. Finches are feisty, so they have really strong beaks for eating seeds. And so sometimes that means they like to nibble scientists' fingers while we're banding them too. Can you spread that wing again, Eric? So this female is growing a new feather. Do you guys all see that new feather growing in? So just like you guys are losing your baby teeth and growing in adult teeth, she is losing feathers and replacing them one by one in her wing. So she can replace her feathers and still be able to fly because she only grows a few at a time. So anything else you want to show us on her, or is she's ready to fly off? Oh yeah, nice. So here's a little pin feather. So you can see this little pin, this little fuzzy spot. Hopefully my video is working. That dark spot is where the feather grows. It's like a flower bud. So the feather is blooming out of that pin as the feather is growing longer and longer. All right, so let's see. You ready to let her fly? Let's see what she does. There she goes. Cool. All right, do we have one more bird and then I can... All right, we'll check out another kinglet. Is it... Oh, sure, yeah. So we'll follow... This is our other size, Matt. We'll follow him. We weigh these birds in little canisters, little tubes. We stick them upside down head first. They've never been upside down in their life before. 5.8 grams. All right. And then we take them right back out of the tube. And
feather on your beak.
nice.
There you go.
Cool. And weighing them is the last thing we do. So she is ready to fly after this. Okay, ready? Oh, look at that. Hey, lady. So here's our little kinglet. She hasn't realized she's free to go yet. We'll give her a little poof of air. Nice.
There we go.
There we go. All right. So that was our last bird for the moment. So I'll switch the camera around. Hi, guys. So I can tell you guys a little bit about what we're doing. So this morning we have 10 nets set up in the forest around us. So you guys can see the forest behind me. And we're catching birds as part of some scientific monitoring that we're doing. So we're tracking these birds and their numbers to see how their populations are doing. And we're looking for differences between years. And that can give us important data to help us conserve these bird species. So today we're catching a lot of birds that are migrating. So birds are flying south in winter. They might not go that far south. So some of these birds will actually stay in Idaho for the winter. And we do get snow and cold in the wintertime. So they're tough little birds. But some of them will go really far south. Some of them might end up in even as far south as Mexico. So one of the reasons we're tagging these birds is so that we can track them and figure out where they're going. You guys saw that tiny, tiny little band on those birds' legs. So, and I'll show you guys a band real quick so you guys can see it up close. There's a little number on those bands so that if another scientist catches our bird, here's the bands, I don't know if it'll focus, but there's tiny little numbers stamped on those bands. So if another scientist catches our bird, or if somebody finds our bird, maybe it bumped into a window and it's stunned, they can read that number and know exactly what bird it is and where it came from. So that can teach us a lot of things. It can teach us how old the birds can live to be. So some of these tiny little songbirds, even as small as that ruby-crowned kinglet, can live even up to 15 or 16 years old. So pretty amazing lifespans for these tiny little birds. Another important thing we're looking at is the ages of the birds. So in some years, we catch a lot of babies. So we catch a lot of birds that are young. We know they were hatched this summer. And that gives us a lot of information about how the nesting season went. So did they have a lot of babies? Was it a good summer? They laid a lot of eggs? Or was it a cold spring? Maybe they didn't lay as many eggs. And maybe they didn't have as many babies this year. So we can look at a variety of things and sort of piece the story together. So what's happening with these birds? And as scientists, once we know what's happening, hopefully we can make some decisions to help those birds out. So contribute to conservation based on the data that we've collected. So maybe I'll walk with you guys. So we check the nets every half hour. So maybe I'll walk with you guys, take you guys up to see a net and see how we catch the birds. So I hope you don't get seasick. We'll walk through the forest a little bit. So this site, one of the reasons we work at this site is it has a lot of really good habitat, and migrating birds need good habitat because they need to fatten up. So birds, when they're migrating, they can't pack a lunchbox, they can't pack a cooler to bring food with them. So instead, they They stop in places where there's lots of food. They get really, really fat, and then they may fly hundreds or even 1,000 miles a night to get to their next stop. So this site up here has really great habitat where birds are able to get fat. And I'll show you guys, I'll find some cherries to show you guys. One of the favorite foods of the birds right now is a plant called bitter cherry. And it doesn't taste very good to humans. It tastes really bitter, but the birds love it, and it has a lot of sugar, so they can get fat very quickly. You guys can see it's kind of chilly this morning. It's below freezing. We just got our first frost of the year last night, I guess, or the night before. So let's see. Here's some dried out cherries. So right here, and there's our little cherry shrub. So the plants around here are absolutely loaded with cherries and other food right now. Also the conifer trees, all the pine trees behind us. We have Douglas fir trees. So a lot of these bird species might be actually eating the seeds from all those different conifer trees as well. All right, we're almost to a net. So we have 10 nets set up to catch these birds. And I don't see a bird, but I'll show you guys the net. They're called mist nets because they're very fine, like mist. So let's see if I can show you. So here's our net. You can barely see the mesh on that net. And so this net, as the birds are flying through the bushes, they can't see it very well. And so as they go along, they run into the net, and it forms a little pocket down here. So when it makes a pocket, the birds sit in that pocket like it's a little hammock. And so that allows us to come along every once in a while. We can take the bird out of that pocket and take it back to our banding station like you guys saw before. So maybe I'll walk to one more net with you guys, and then we'll head back to the banding station to see if our scientists caught any more birds. And Jesse, I'm not keeping very good track of time, so let me know when it's time to do questions or. All right, cool.
It's fantastic.
Go to this next net. And maybe I'll flip the camera around here in a second and show you guys the view. Our site is along a ridge in the mountains, and it goes north-south. And that's really important because during fall migration, birds are moving from the north to the south. So they can follow this ridge, and it allows them to stay in some nice high mountain forest habitat. And let's see. No birds in this net. So I'll switch you guys around so you can see the net, and then we'll go take a view of some mountains. All right, so here's our long net stretched out, and no birds in it. Did you get any birds, Emily? Nice. All right. So Emily has a bird in a bag, so we carry them in soft mesh bags, cloth bags, and that allows them to wiggle around as much as they want, and they can move around freely. There you go. So once we check out the view, we'll follow Emily back to the banding station and see what she caught. I did check 10. Yeah, there wasn't anything. Yeah, cool. All right, so I'm gonna take you guys up this view. All right. So this is the view north of us. And you guys can see, I'll try to point here. So here are the really tall mountains, and there's forest up here. And that forest has all those cherry shrubs, just like you guys saw on this mountain. And then down here in the valley, this is Boise, and it's more of a desert. We only get about 13 inches of rain a year. So you can see it's very dry in the foothills. And then all of a sudden you switch to this really beautiful, lush forest habitat with all those cherry shrubs. It's moving from the north here. They're following the ridge. They're coming to us. And then after they get nice and fat, they have lots of energy. Then they keep going and they fly farther south. So it's a beautiful morning up here. We're a little bit later, I think, than most, earlier than most of you guys. So it's just a little bit after sunrise here. It's 8:40. Our sun rose at 7:40 this morning. So, all right. Give you a nice panoramic view, and then we'll take you guys down the road. So maybe I'll walk like this and just talk to you guys so you guys can see the nice habitat around us. So all of these green shrubs with the leaves kind of turning yellow, those are all our cherry shrubs with lots of fruit for our birds. So they really like it. This habitat, we have a really good mix. Oh, there's actually a little junco flying along with us right here. I don't know if you guys can hear the little tinkling, little tink, 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 tink. That's the junco call. There's lots of juncos down here today. But our habitat is a mix. So we have dry sagebrush here. We have the cherry shrub, and then we have the Douglas fir forest. 3 different habitat types. So pretty much any bird that arrives here has that that they can use to find food. So no matter where they're from, there's something here for everybody. So it gives us a really good community of songbirds. We usually catch around 60 species a year. And we're walking back to camp, so I'll show you guys. We have a crew of 12 scientists who live up here. No running water. They have to bring all their water up to the mountain every week. We have just a little pit toilet, and that's it. So they're roughing it up here, but it's a pretty cool life. So we have, you can see our big kitchen tent right here, where everybody comes and cooks their breakfast. And everybody sleeps up on the hillside. You guys can see all the cars from our crew. So everybody sleeps up here. They're about an hour from any city or electricity or running water. You can see all our firewood stocked up for the winter since it's getting really cold right now. So it's a pretty cool life up here. Biologists living on the top of a mountain. All right, so I'm going to switch you guys. Oh, maybe I'll leave you guys. So we're almost to the banding station. This here's our banding station. And we'll go see what Emily's up to, see if she's banding that bird. And find out what she caught.
Super cool.
And maybe other scientists came back from the other net runs with birds too. So we have 10 nets, and we split up in kind of 3 groups to check them. All right. Hey, team. Oh, really? Nice. So Carter here is one of our scientists. He's a freshman, right, at Boise State University. And he is right now measuring the wing on a really cool bird called a Townsend solitaire. So they're very gray. And they're another fruit eater. So they live up here and really go after those cherry fruits. So Carter just started training with us this year, actually. So learning all about banding birds. And 113, so that's 113 millimeters on this wing. So you guys can see our data here, and we're recording all kinds of different information about these birds. Of course, we're recording their species, so this is a Townsend solitaire. We're going to take a careful look at it and tell what age it is. And then we'll look at all these other characteristics, including that fat that I was telling you guys about. So you can see on this page, we have a lot of migrating birds. So we have a lot of birds with high fat of a 4 and a 3. So their gas tanks are getting full, ready for migration. 99 tail. They have very long tails. And this solitaire, you can see its band number, so number 498. No other solitaire in the world will have that band number. So one thing we do, so you can see Carter blowing on the belly of this bird. And here's Emily, what did you get? You got a junco? Nice. So this junco has a little pink beak. One thing we do is we blow on their bellies to see their fat. So you can actually see through their skin when you part their feathers out of the way, and you can see orange fat if they're really fat, and you can see kind of reddish purple chest muscle. So maybe we'll see how fat Emily's bird is, and maybe we'll get to take a look at some fat on a bird here in a minute. They pooped a berry. Oh, nice. So, so this solitaire was in the middle of eating a berry or this bitter cherry when we caught it. So it spit the cherry up when we caught it. So that's pretty funny. It looks like a pretty nice berry, huh? Nice and juicy. So this berry has tons of calories for this bird so that it can get nice and fat for its migration. So I'll zoom in while Emily measures the wing on this junco. You guys can see the wing ruler there. And scientists, of course, we use the metric system. So we're measuring the wing in millimeters. And we're also measuring the tail.
65.
Dark-eyed juncos are one of the species we're catching a lot of right now. They're a seed-eating species, so they can stay a little bit longer in Idaho where it's cold compared to our species that eat insects. So yeah, you guys can see we have a nice big team up here this morning. And Carter is also taking a look at their head. So one thing we can do on songbirds is we can look at their skull to tell how old they are. Like human babies, when we're born, we're actually born with a little soft spot in our head where our skull isn't fully formed. And our birds are the same way. So they're born with one layer of skull and then they grow a second layer as they get older. So we can actually look through their skin and see their skull. And if it's very white, we can tell that it's an adult. And if we can see pink color, that is actually the thin portion of the skull where we can look through the skull and actually see the color of their brain. So pretty crazy that we can actually see that. So that lets us tell how old they are. A lot of our birds right now are what's called hatch year birds. So they were born in the summertime. So they're probably 3 or 4 months old at this point. But already independent, already grown up and away from their parents, which is pretty cool. So I'm gonna go see if Emily is done collecting her data. Maybe we can take a look at the fat on this junco.
Perfect.
Emily, does your junco have any fat?
So we're trying to decide if it's a boy or a girl. And so the
Cool.
girl's usually really gray and brown, and the boy's really dark. It's a
Uh,
young bird, and I'm
It's
not
kind of
totally sure.
in between, huh?
Yeah.
What's your wing?
70.
That's pretty
That's
short,
pretty
huh?
short.
Yeah.
So
So
are shorter than
Yeah.
shorter wing usually.
yeah, so in songbirds, females are smaller than males. And in juncos, females have a grayer head. This one. Fine with A. So that's there. So that's our guess for her. You can see Junk's got a nice little pink beak, so that's one way you can tell Junks. And those are probably a species that most of you guys this call actually have in your home. So they're pretty widespread species that lives all over North America. All right, so we'll let Emily finish processing her bird and then we'll see its fat. How are we doing on time, Jesse?
We're pretty close to questions. So if you want to dive in with those, we can do that. And then when we done processing the bird, we can go check in a minute. Is that okay?
Sure, yeah, that works. Sounds good. Let me, I'll switch the camera and then I'll.
Perfect. Oh, I think you disappeared. There we go. Okay. So first of all, thank you so much to Heidi for taking us around. That was super, super cool. Got to see some nets, got to see some birds. It was fantastic.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. You're perfect.
Okay, good.
Whew. All right, so we're going to dive in with some questions, guys. I also want to note we've got quite a few groups watching on YouTube Live right now. So if you guys want to type in your questions, please do so. I'll pass them on to Heidi and we'll get them in there. But let's start with Ms. Volbrett's class in Ottawa. If you guys want to kick us off with a question about birds, come on up.
All right.
How long does it take for a bird to migrate?
How long does it take for a bird to migrate, Heidi?
Ooh, how long does it take to migrate? So that really depends on how far they're. A lot of them start out or in the north and end up in places like Mexico or even Central America. Just as an example, so we banded a black-chinned hummingbird a couple of years.
Oh, Heidi, you're cutting out a bit.
Oh, sorry, I keep dropping the
That's
call.
That's okay. There you go. Now we're good. Your video
Trying
is
to move
back.
to this place.
You're in a perfect internet spot.
Okay, I'll stay. So we caught that black-chinned hummingbird, and then 18 days later, we caught another scientist caught it in Sierra Vista, Arizona. So a couple thousand miles. So they can go pretty far. I would say a good kind of average that you could say is about a month to head south, but that varies a lot depending on the species. So some are really fast and some really take their time.
Yeah, very cool. All right, Miss Gonzalez's class. If you guys have a question, come on up.
We have Harrison. Hello here, Harrison. What's your question?
Huh?
What did you study in college?
Ah,
What did I study in college? Is that the
yeah.
question?
Yeah, how'd you become this?
Yeah, so I went to college and I went to Boise State University and I got my bachelor's degree in biology with an emphasis in ecology. And that took me 4 years. And then I continued on and I did my master's degree. And I did that in biology as well. And I focused on songbirds for my thesis research project. And that took me another 3.5 years. So it takes a while, but the master's degree especially is really fun because you get to pick what you want to study.
Very cool. And then, so how long have you been doing this specifically? So you finished all that, and then how long have you been doing this work?
So since I graduated, it's been about 5 years, and I'm the education director for this bird observatory. So I get to do a lot of bird banding, but I also get to tell people a lot about the bird banding that we do. So it's a fun combination of science and then telling people about science.
Very cool. All right, Miss Terry-Ann's class, if you guys have a question.
Aubrey? Yeah, we got one. 1 sec. Aubrey, question.
Oh, take your time, all good. Oh,
How do you put the bands on the birds?
good question.
Oh, how do we put the band on the birds? I didn't show you guys that part yet. So I'll go grab a pair of our banding pliers so you guys can see. Can I get some banding pliers? Maybe the black ones. So here we go. If you so I'm gonna have this little pin on the top of that. So we first get the is closed circle. So we use that pin to open that band up, and then it's in a C shape. So then once it's in a C shape, you guys can see those little holes on the pliers.
Yeah.
We can use those pliers to close the band perfectly around the leg so that it doesn't touch the leg of the bird, it's only touching the band. So that allows us to get a nice, good seal. We can close that band perfectly so that that bird can wear that band for the rest of its life and it fits just like a nice watch or a bracelet around its leg.
Very cool. All right, so Heidi, just so you know, the video cut out a little bit when you were there, but we did see the pliers, so that's super cool. So just if you go back for your work for the other questions, that would be great. But no, fantastic.
Walk back up to better reception, sorry.
That's okay, no, all good. This is the fun of doing something from literally the middle of a ridge in like north of Idaho, an hour from electricity. Like this is fantastic.
Yeah, cool.
All right, Miss Painter's class, if you guys have one, come on up.
Oh, over to the camera, honey. Over the camera. Right. What is the biggest bird you've gotten?
The biggest bird you've caught? Yeah.
Ooh, the biggest bird we catch at our station, about once every couple of years we catch a golden eagle. I've actually missed all the golden eagles.
Oh, sorry, we had a class
So that's kind of a bummer, but very cool birds. I think the biggest one we catch on a regular basis is probably a red-tailed hawk. And in our little songbird nets, the biggest bird we usually catch is a Cooper's hawk. And we catch Cooper's hawks usually because they are songbird eating specialists. So they are flying around right through the same forest that our songbirds are. So we often get those guys in our nets.
Super cool. All right. By the way, I want to know, actually, not just super cool, you guys are doing a raptor banding with us in just a little bit. Can you tell us what day that is? In case
Yeah, I think it's October 8th. And it's noon my time, so I don't know what time that is for you guys.
Should be
but
two,
I'll
maybe
be I'll be back up on the mountain trapping raptors soon. So yeah, if you guys want to call back in, you guys will be able to see that too, which is fun.
Outstanding. So yeah, 2 Eastern time, October 8th. If you guys want to watch on YouTube, if you don't have a camera spot, that would be awesome. All right, we had a bunch of classes join us in the last few seconds. So first, Miss Heyman's class, joining us grade 2s in Cambridge, Ontario. If you guys have a question, let's see if we can hear you guys. Maybe, kind of, sort of, maybe not. So I'll come back and check in a second, but they did pass along a question on YouTube before they began. And so their first question was, why do some birds migrate? Heidi, sort of the fundamental question.
Yeah, right. I kind of skipped over that part. That's important. So a lot of our birds, oh, and I can see questions popping up too. That's cool. So a lot of our birds are migrating because of food. So they're tough enough to withstand cold temperatures, but maybe their prey isn't. So for example, a yellow warbler, they need to eat nice little aphids, green, juicy caterpillars, and those insects are not out in the wintertime here in Idaho, so they have to leave. They have to go farther south. So for a lot of our birds, that's the case. So you might see a pattern that in the wintertime, we have birds here in cold areas that eat seeds because seeds are around all year long, so they can stay. While our bug eaters, they have to head south. They get to go on vacation to some tropical area.
Very cool. Lovely. Sounds nice. All right, let's go. So we had Miss Harris's group, kindergartners in Round Rock, Texas, join us a minute ago. So if you guys, I know you came in a little late, but if you have questions about birds, you're welcome to come on up and ask. Anyone have any questions, guys? Oh, bunch of hands went up.
Nice.
I think we can hear you guys. Let's see. Hey. Oh, so your audio's not on. I don't know why. Sorry, you're demuted, but your audio's on. So what we'll do is I'll come back in a second, okay? And then in the meantime, if you can't get the audio working, you can always type it in the bottom right of your screen, okay? There's a big chat bar, and we can take it from there. But first, we'll go back to Ms. Volbrett's class. If you guys have a question, a second question, come on back up, okay?
Oh, all right.
Yeah, you're good.
How do you get the birds to stay still when you hold them?
How do you get the birds to stay still when you hold them?
Oh, good question. So we use a special grip called Bander's grip. You guys probably saw we have 2 fingers that are over the shoulders of the birds. And it kind of is like if you've ever been on a roller coaster ride or some ride at the fair where you have those big, strong shoulder straps going over your shoulders. So we're not squeezing the bird, but we're just gently supporting the bird. And that makes them feel kind of safe and calm. So they know that they're not in trouble, they're not being hurt. And so they can kind of just sit and relax in our hands like that. We also let them put their little feet. So I'll show you. But they like to perch on our fingers while we're holding them. So it helps them feel, like normal, like, oh, I'm sitting on a branch, I feel safe. But you can tell if we have a really squiggly bird, if we loosen that grip a little bit, they think they can get away and they will try to flap away. But usually they're pretty calm.
Very cool. Heidi, is squiggly a scientific term for birds, or is that just something on the fly? Awesome. All right.
Just for fun.
Just for fun. Okay, I just want to confirm. Ms. Gonzalez's class, if you guys have a second question, come on up, and then we'll come back to Ms. Harris and see if you guys can get the audio going.
Come on, closer. Yeah, we have a question right here.
Does the net hurt the eggs?
Oh, Ms. Gonzalez, could you repeat that to us? Sorry.
Yes. Does the net hurt the birds when they're trying to catch them?
Good question. Does the net hurt the birds, Heidi?
Does the net hurt the birds? Was that the question? Does the net hurt the birds?
Yeah.
It doesn't. So if you guys, those of you who are on the call, it's really soft. It's really fine thread. And it's really bouncy. So when the birds run into it, it's sort of like landing in a soft hammock. It does take a lot of training from our scientists to be able to gently take them out of the net because they could get tangled if you don't know what you're doing. So all of us have been doing this for a lot of years and have the right permits and training to allow us to do it. But yeah, it's a very safe method for these birds. because of that special design. So these nets are made specially to catch these birds safely.
Cool. All right. Miss Harris's class, let's see if we can get your audio working. Fingers crossed. We'll try. No, I still can't hear you. You're so cute. And I bet it's a great question. So type it in. You can type it in just bottom of your screen. There's a little oval with 3 dots, chat bar. Type it in there and I will pass it along in just a second, okay? Just get
So
on.
I saw a question appear on the screen. How many birds do we catch on average?
Yeah, that's Miss Painter's class.
Oh, cool. So we, on average, so we run our nets for 3 months every fall, and we catch between 5,000 and 7,000 birds each fall. On a given day, we might only catch 20, or we might catch 300 birds. Lately, we just got a batch of cold weather. It's been very warm. And so the past couple days, we've been catching almost 200 birds a day. So a lot of birds. We're very busy. So you guys saw our big crew. So that helps us when we catch lots of birds. They are all banding birds at once.
Super cool. 300 that's a fun day. That's
yeah, that's crazy.
All right, Miss Harris's class, thank you guys so much for typing it in. So the question was, how big are the birds?
Oh, how big are the birds? So most of our little songbirds we band fit in our hands. I'm just gonna take a peek and see if they have a bird. Oh no, they don't. Yeah, we'll check the nets again. Hopefully we'll get another one. A lot of our birds, we weigh them in grams, and you can think of a gram, like 1 gram weighs about the same as an M&M or a Skittle, little piece of candy. So our smallest birds we catch are ruby-crowned kinglets, and they weigh about 6 grams. So just 6 little Skittles sitting in your hand. Our bigger birds, like American robins that we catch, they can weigh much more, so up to 80 and even more grams. So a big variation, but they're all pretty small.
Outstanding. All right, so we're going to take 2 more questions before we wrap up, Heidi. This has been amazing. So let's dive in with Miss Terrian's class, and then we'll finish up with one live from Miss Painter. Oh, Miss Terrian's gone. Okay, she had to go because the lunch, I guess, is coming. So Miss Painter's class, if you guys want to come up, go for it.
Come on. We've got one coming up.
Perfect.
Come on.
Don't be shy.
Have you ever had one die when you were banding it?
It is a risk, and it's something we always think about. The risk level is about the same risk level as having a surgery. So a surgery where you get knocked out. So for example, getting your tonsils out or wisdom teeth out. So it's a very, very low risk, but it is something we're always paying attention to. So we're always watching the birds, making sure that they are happy and healthy. And our scientists are trained to look for signs of stress. So you can often see a bird will fluff its feathers or kind of close its eyes, like squint its eyes, like it's kind of sleepy if they're stressed. And so if we do ever a lot of attention, and we'll warm the bird up or let it go back into the wild, because of course birds are our number 1 priority. So that's our first priority, and our second priority is obviously getting good data from them. So making sure that, you know, their 5-10 minutes they spend with us, that time is worth it, that we get some good data that we can use for conservation.
Outstanding. Heidi, this has been marvelous. We really appreciate the opportunity to walk around. Is there a message you want to share with classes about where they can find out more, how they can find out more about birds in their own neck of the woods?
Yeah.
To guide people.
And then I have a friend I want to introduce you guys to.
Okay.
When we're done. So you guys can check out our, we have a Facebook page and an Instagram page. We're Intermountain Bird Observatory. And you can also go to our website. It's boisestate.edu/IBO. Those are our initials, so IBO. All right, and so I want to know if any of you guys watch the TV show Wildcrats. It's on PBS. Today, I actually have Chris Kratt with us visiting our banding station. So let him
hey
say
everybody,
hi,
how you doing?
Hey,
I'm here with Heidi and these great people. We're banding raptors. This is such an awesome creature adventure.
Cool. I think all the classes are on mute, but hopefully they can.
Yeah, I can unmute some of them, because literally the moment you said your name, we had people like hands on their face and arms in the air. So Ms. Albrecht's class, you guys are like particularly excited. What do you think?
I'm freaking out. So excited.
Yeah, this is such great work they're doing up here, because we're able to learn more about songbirds, and then we can do things to help them. So it's great that you guys have been learning about this today and what people do and what, you know, you can do if you have an interest in animals someday when you grow up, you know, something that you might want to think about.
So guys, I actually grew up watching these guys on their other TV show, Zaboomafoo, and it's one of the reasons I became a biologist. So you guys keep watching Wildcrats. You'll learn a lot, and you'll be like ready to go if you want to be a scientist when you grow up.
And
You'll
she's
know
a
everything
really
you
good
need.
biologist.
This is just like mutual love everywhere. I love it. So actually, so we've you know, it's so great for kids to have this opportunity to actually get to see scientists doing stuff live, because again, it inspires them to become scientists, to be more engaged with science. Is there another thing that they can do if they want to conserve animals? Like, is there something you can recommend?
Well, you know, definitely, if you have an interest, whatever it is, whether it's animals or anything else, explore that interest. You know, that's what I did. That's what I'm sure Heidi did. You know, when I was a kid, this is kind of today, being with this great crew is kind of nostalgic for me, because when I was in high school, I volunteered at a raptor rehabilitation center where we banded raptors and hawks and eagles and stuff. And so, you know, if you, and that was because when I was a young guy, I was interested in animals and I wanted to do something. So I volunteered there. So always look for ways that you can explore your interest. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you for the surprise at the end. We have people writing in that they're so excited. You can see that they're so excited. It's just fantastic. All right, what we do at the end of every session, guys, and I really want to give this opportunity to our classes. I'm going to demute everyone's microphone, to Ms. Hollebrett's class, Ms. Gonzalez, Ms. Harris's class. If you guys can join me in saying a huge thank you to Heidi and Chris. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Creature adventuring.
Yeah, so we're going to pass along all those resources when we're done. So look for an email, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. This was fantastic, guys.
Thanks, guys.